Did you know with some buttons and beads, if you please, you can customize hair bows? Hello friends, Mayflom here, and I have this hair barrette with bow that I purchased, and I purchased it because the way that the fabric is and the way that the bow loops around, it will be very easy to take a needle and thread, sew some buttons in, maybe sew a few beads in as well. So I am going to show you how to do that, how easy it is, how much fun it is. Your first thing to decide is don't get any glue out, don't commit to anything. Just take a look at the buttons and decide what kind of a design you would like. Who is this for? Who's going to wear it? And what kind of decorations you would enjoy. In this case, I decided that I want that truck to be right up there, front and center, and I want to dangle a Christmas tree. So I'm starting with some thread. This is embroidery thread. It's 2 strands doubled over and a knot in the end. So when I pull this through, the knot is going to catch and I can trim off the excess, easy peasy. No one's ever going to know. It's going to be so great. Then I'm going to put my truck down and I am going to just loop this through a couple of times to secure it. And I'm leaving the feed here so you can see the whole process, but I also have it on slightly fast forward just so we're going a little quicker. So just note that this is going a little faster than real life, but you're just wanting to secure it around there a couple of times just to really get that really nice and stable. And then once you're done and you've pulled it through a couple of times and you just want it to come slightly off the front and off the back, you don't want it to be way out there. Once you've secured it a few times, you can go and poke it through into the underside, but don't pull it out the top. And the way that this is, it's going to be fairly easy to get a knot going and then pull the knot down to the end there where you pulled it out. And then, of course, add a second knot and then cut off the excess. Not too difficult, actually. This makes it pretty easy. It's a nice soft fabric and very flexible. If you do not have a nice soft fabric, another option is glue. You could use a glue designed to hold things like rhinestones, buttons, etc. to fabric, and that would work as well. Now, I am making a special Christmas bow because I just thought that would be the most fun. And to hang my Christmas tree, I could hang it from the shank. However, it's going to hang a little off center. I want it to dangle from the top. So I'm removing the shank and then I'm putting a bail. So this is just a little metal jewelry making piece that you can purchase. And I'm using some E6000 just because it's a good strong glue to hold everybody together. And I'm going to put this on the bail, put the bail to the top of the tree, and then set everything aside. I'm actually going to set this aside overnight. It's not necessary to wait that long, but I mention this because this is a good project where if you're going to be disassembling, I suppose I should say, your buttons and pulling them back together, you may want to do that part well in advance so that you can power right through your projects. Speaking of powering through, I pulled out some Jesse James beads, our sister company, and this is the avocado mix. I love this avocado green mix. It's got different metals in it and browns and greens, and it's perfect with this hair color bow and also with our little truck theme. So to do this, all you're doing is starting the exact same way with the knot on the back, starting inside, and then you're just going to pull different beads through. You can go random, you can do a design, you could get into seed beads. There's a lot of options here, but it's really, really simple. You're just putting a bead where you think you would like a bead and then stringing it on there. And if it's a larger bead, you're just going to look and make sure that where you put your thread through next leaves at least enough room for the bead. If you try to tuck the thread underneath, you're going to end up with kind of a lumpy bow or lumpy bead. And usually, generally speaking, you don't want either thing to be true. So as you can see, I've just gone around and added different ones. And again, super simple with the way that this bow is. No one's ever going to see all of my knots and threads. They're all hidden away inside the bow. And as long as I don't go too crazy, it will all stay very nicely hidden away. All right, look at that. Isn't it cute? Now we could leave it just like that, but as I mentioned, we've got our tree to hang. And I'm actually just going to use the same exact method. I am going to take the thread and the needle And I am going to put them all together and go down through all the beads and back up and tie it off. And if that sounds confusing, well, don't worry. I'm going to show you exactly what I am talking about. So we've got the thread, and what we're going to do is in the bottom of the center part of the bow, I've already looked and seen that I can very easily put that in there and go ahead and pull it down through so it'll be straight down from the center of the bow. But first, of course, I've got to get my thread on my needle, get a little more thread going. And then these beads, again, it's actually called Avocado on Everything. Get all my beads going here one at a time. So I'm starting with the bead I want on the top and working my way down. Now, if you change your mind at any point and you think, oh, you know what, I don't love this, just pull the beads back off and start over again, or pull them off and change the order, whatever you might want to do. I will also mention that, I added some of the brown beads from that mix and some of the metals from that mix because it just looked great with the color of bow and with the truck. Now, when you get all the beads on, you're going to put your Christmas tree, and I put a little tassel just because there was a little tassel and I thought, you know what, this is fun. Let's add this in here. And then what you're going to do is you're going to string them back through. And I realize my hand went out of frame here because this gets a little tricky to keep everything where it needs to be. But all I am doing, you can see my fingers. That's really what I want you to see. Do you see how I'm lifting the beads up on the thread? And I'm getting the needle to come down through the beads. So we went all the way down through the beads, once through the charm, once through the tassel, then back up through all the beads. And if it's too long, you may have to do what you see me doing here, where I'm kind of pulling like one at a time through. But once you do, you see what we've got here. We've got a loop. Then we're going to put this thread, well, I'm pulling a lot of the excess out first. Then we're going to put this thread back through exactly where it came from. But of course, you see what I'm doing here? I'm checking it out. Do I like it? Oh, I love it. Don't like it? I love it. Do you like it? Is it looking good? Then next to, fairly close to the original spot, you're going to pull it through just that layer of fabric like you see me doing there and pull it nice and tight. You can determine exactly how tight you want to do that. The great thing about this is that's 4 strands of thread in total. So it's nice and sturdy and it will hold really well. Now, what I am doing here is actually making a little knot right on the edge of the back of the bow. And so there will be a teeny tiny spot of white thread with a teeny tiny knot visible. I don't mind because I wanted the extra security on this end of my project. I thought, you know what? I want to make extra sure that when I gift this, it is going to stay together and be beautiful. And how pretty is that? This would work with any of your dress it up buttons and any hair bows or headbands. And I hope I have inspired you today to go ahead, get those buttons and maybe some beads out and get to crafting. Please be sure to share with us your creations. We always love seeing what you make.